Hi everybody, this is Debbie, from Teacher Success Coach. I'm really having some technical issues today, you know. Anyway, from Teacher Success Coach, what are you grateful for today? As normal, one of the things I'm always grateful for, and I do feel that we should all be grateful for, is life. Because with life and with health comes wealth, and you could do so much things with that. Sorry. I'm grateful for life, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that today have brought for me, and I'm grateful for the experience that actually came with today. And another thing I'm grateful for my students, because they've actually, as always, they are my great teacher. And as always, they give me great opportunity and great experiences from which I'm able to use with other students, even use with them. So those are the things I'm eternally grateful for my students on a daily basis, because they enable me to grow, they enable me to be transformed, they enable me to be mindful, they enable me to be centered, and of course they are my teacher, because they actually teach me various things. One of the things is how to deal with people, because in my class there are a range of personalities. And school tend to have this idea of one size fit all. No, that is unrealistic. It doesn't work, because the students are all different personalities. So I am grateful for my students, because they actually give me those things that I'm able to navigate, and the range of opportunities and the range of experiences. It's wonderful. Being an educator is fantastic. There are a number of challenges. There are a number of blocks that people would take for granted, but in education is not taken for granted. It's like I was speaking to a friend of mine today, and the topic came up about going to the bathroom. And I said to her, things that you all take for granted, that you could go off and have a break whatever time you want to, when you want to go and have a drink, when you want to go to the toilet, etc. But for us educator, these are luxury, because if you miss that slot, you are stuck until lunchtime. Because like today I missed that slot because I had a break, but a student was wanted to see me because she had a number of challenges, etc. So my break time was used dealing with that student. And after that student left, because it's 20 minutes break, I had another lesson, and then I had another one after that. So break time, lunchtime, oh my goodness, wasn't I running to that bathroom? Anyway, so those are things people take for granted, but in education is not taken for granted. These are luxury for us. Right. What am I grateful for? Yes. And another thing is, I had a fantastic opportunity to cover a year 7 group today. Yes, I'm grateful for that, because most of my teaching is done with year 10, 11, 12, and 13. I've only just started doing year 10s. Most of my teaching have been in the last 24 months since I came back into teaching. I've been teaching year 11, which was very few, mostly 12 and 13, which is sixth form. But in the last 6 months, I have been teaching year 10s, which is 14-year-olds, GCSEs, year 11s, which is 15-year-olds, and 16-year-olds, which is the final for the GCSE. So year 10 is beginning of GCSE, year 11 is the GCSE, year 12, sixth form, year 13, sixth form. So I've been teaching 4 different groups, age group rather. And I've been teaching psychology and sociology. So I don't want to teach the younger group, because there's sometimes I feel that it's a mindset. You have to really, it requires a lot more patience and a lot slower pace than I currently do with the older children, those that are preparing for exams. However, when I have the opportunity to cover the younger group, I really jump to that, because it really keeps me in track in terms of increase my awareness, and it also helped me to see how, what's going on in the younger years and what's going on with these younger children. this young people. So today I cover the sevens. Those are the children that is coming. They've just come from primary school into secondary school, and they were doing English. And normally sometimes you would have the lesson cover for, you know, the lesson prepared for you, etc., but that wasn't prepared for me. So I asked the student what they, you know, what they covered, and they told me they were reading a set of poetry and annotating it, etc., etc., and explaining, etc. I thought, oh my goodness, this is beautiful, down my street. So that's what I did with the students, you know, get them to read it, and then we discuss it, and then for them to find the subtle explanation in it. That was good. However, as a cover teacher, going from school to school, this is something I know, and I've observed it myself, that students feel that when you're a cover teacher, they feel that you're a pushover, or they want to push the boundaries. Oh my goodness, don't I love that? Reminding them I'm keeping them in track. So one of the first things that when they came into the classroom, it was about 27 of them. Miss, are you a cover teacher? I say, I am covering the lesson. And one student said, oh, I've seen Miss. I said, oh, have you? Yes. Anyway, so they thought it was okay to push the boundaries, to chat, to say they wanted to go to the bin to throw a piece of paper, to look out of the window, daydream, to rock the chair, you name it, they were doing all of that. I gave the class one warning, and I began to put the names on the board. The name on the board is the behavior policy, which means that on one side you put the positive, those that are doing really well, and on the other side you give the, you know, the detention note. So when I started putting the names on the board, Miss, am I on detention? You know, 2 ticks is detention. So you decide if you want to continue to disrupt my lesson, and I'm not talking anymore. It was such a transformation. The minute these children realized that name on the board, when they're reminded that 2 ticks is detention, I just have to have just the names on. They were fine. And what I also realized from this student, which I've always realized in most schools, that you need to get into that classroom and demonstrate a sense of controlling the class, because it is your classroom. Whether or not you're covering for someone at that time, at this time when you're in the classroom, you are the one in control of the classroom. And unfortunately, the way young people are programmed, you have to be in control of the classroom, or else they feel they could push the boundaries and they could do whatever they want to do because you are not the normal teacher. So they feel the things they cannot get away with a normal teacher, they're going to be trying it with you. So as an educator, when you are covering any class, you need to demonstrate that you know what you're doing and you are in control of the class. The minute there is a slip, the student feel they could do whatever they want to do. I think that's what they thought they could do with me in the lesson. As I say to them, I'm warning the whole class because you all are all disruptive. And then I'm going to begin to put names on the board. There is no more warning. I've already warned you, rocking your chair, throwing pieces of paper, you know, trying to make paper planes, gazing outside of the window because the other group was doing PE outside, chatting to your next door neighbor, you know, doodling, etc. When you have work to do, I have an issue with that. So the minute I warned them and started putting the name on the board, I had a fantastic class because students like discipline. They also like to know that you are in control of them, that they have some form of direction. And the minute they had a form of direction and they realized that I am in control of this class at this time while I'm covering this lesson, we were all good friends. You know, the interesting thing about it is too often I see where teachers, when some educators are going wrong, there's some battles you need to fight and there's some battles you need to let go. Some of the students came in late and I ask them why you're late, and it's a pile of history. I ain't got time for that. You late, you're 10 minutes late, which means that you're late for the lesson, so you're going to be having a late mark. That's for you to deal with when, you know, the register comes up and it says a lateness on it. So which means you have to speak to your form tutor, but that's not my business. Situation like that, it's not a battle worth fighting. There's no point in arguing with a student. Oh, I'm not late. You know, I did. No, there's no point in that. You were not in the class when my lesson started. Therefore, you're late. And last week, that was a situation that kicked off because students were late. And instead of, for me, this is what I would do. You walk in late. I just continue with my register and maculate, and I close my computer down, close the system down, because you're late. Instead, this teacher decided to take the group of 6 students out, and of course there's a kickoff, because then there was an argument that, you know, well, I'm not late, you're picking on me, and for me, I'm in my class minding my own business. You know, I then had to go and support this teacher because of, you know, all of this. So there's sometimes we need to pick our battle. A lateness is not what a discussion about. You just deal with it appropriately because the student know the consequences of lateness. So you just carry on your lesson, because it can cause a lot of disruption. And when you are talking to students in groups, it fires up because they're all trying to compete to see which one of them could, you know, talk to you in a negative way or disrespectful way. Those things doesn't want it. So back to my year 7s, you know, we established that I'm the teacher in charge of this class. And when I give you instruction, you follow my instruction. I'm not asking you, I'm saying don't rock your chair, because it's a health and safety issue. I'm not interested if the other teacher is okay with that. I'm not, because if you actually fall off the chair through rocking the chair, then it becomes my responsibility. I don't need to take that on. You know, so it's interesting. Once the student realized that as a teacher, I'm taking control of my class, we had a fantastic lesson. You know, they were very, very engaged in discussing the topic and discussing the poetry. It was really a real good session. But what I actually learned from those students was, as a teacher, you need to establish the ground rules from the get-go, because they're going to try all sorts. Because I was talking to one student, another one getting up. Where are you going? I didn't tell you to get up. Oh, miss, I'm going to the bin. What do you mean you're going to the bin? Go back to your seat. So these are things they're going to try. And as teachers, the minute you let slip some of these things, not only one child is going to try it, another one is going to try it, and another one is going to try it, because you say okay or you ignore it. The minute you ignore it, it becomes an issue, because one child feels that you ignore it, and when that child is doing it, so therefore they could do it as well. And that's what I'm seeing now in a lot of classes, where teachers, some educators are letting certain things go in terms of a child getting up and going to the bin unnecessarily, because another one feels it's okay to do that. Because this is something that was happening to me today. One got up, went to the bin. The time I turn around, another one going to the, where are you going? You two better go back and sit in your seat, or else, you know, we call detention later on. I ain't got a problem with that. So teachers, we are tired. Yes, I know that. But you do need to take responsibility for a class, whether or not you're covering a class, whether or not it's your class. You need to be consistent. And what you do for one student, make sure you do it for the other student. Because students quickly notice the inconsistency. And once they see an inconsistency, they feel that there is preference of one student more than another. But there sometimes this could be genuinely forget, or genuinely, you know, that sleeps, etc. But need to be consistent. Another thing is, it is so important as educators we foster a love for our students. We demonstrate that we care about our students because they pick up when it's not genuine. I had a group of year 6, 2 groups of year 6 today, and that's something, we spend my first 10 minutes of my lesson discussing the fact that teachers that are not genuine and the impact it have on the students, because they pick it up, because they realize that, some teachers, they were actually talking about head teachers, etc., that some head teachers are invisible. By that, they mean that head teacher is not making any impact. They're not engaging. They feel that they're better than the students. Whereas a real head teacher or principal, whatever you want to call them, a real leader is a person who leads, is a person who get involved, is a person who, as much as taking control and leading, you also interacting. The more you interact with your students, the more they feel that you are valuing them, and you see them as being part of it, part of the whole school. Because for them, that the more you are involved and the more you demonstrate awareness and you demonstrate connection, the more they have respect for you, the more they start seeing that you value them. And that means a lot, because that was one of the things a lot of the students were complaining about today in my session, that they feel in some ways that the principal or the head, however you want to call them, not connecting. And as a result of that, the students have no respect for that principal. And all the principal does, they feel, is just tell them off instead of getting, trying to know them, getting to know them, getting to know what's going on with them. Because the fact that when students actually hit the building, that when they actually come through that building, you don't know what experiences they're coming with, what they've had happen at home, whether or not they've just witnessed the father beating the mother beating the father. You don't know what they've witnessed. So when they come to you, and you might find that they might be slightly disruptive or they give you an attitude, you need to pause and find out what is really going on. Because a lot of these students, when they come to us, they're coming to us with a backpack full of challenges, which they do not know how to regulate or navigate. So our role as educators, I hear that you're tired. I know that you're tired. I hear that you're stressed. However, our role as educators is to empower the student and try to enable them to navigate and unpack what they've got in the backpack before we are able to deal with them on an academic level. It's big, and I'm seeing it a lot in the school that I'm in. Every day, the students are kicking off. Every day, there is a fight. Every day, there is an argument with students. Because these students are stressed, they're tired, they've got issues with their mental health, and people seem to always think that these students are resilient. Yes, they are, but they're also human beings as well. And they're young and they're tired too. So the slightest thing, they kick off. And it could be with their friends. It could be with their teachers. But it's constant. Last week, I was witness to 2 fights. One of them was with a teacher, and I was quite inwardly annoyed because the fact that I was there, you know, it meant that I have to give a statement. I don't have time. I have things to do. I have to sort out my students' topic because we've got that already. So things like that. But the situation is, when the students come to us, they're spending more time with us, awake, than they are with the parents. So we need to try our best to help them to regulate and navigate what they're coming to us with. It's big. There's so many issues because even the fights that's going on in the schools now is could be something very simple. It's like last week, one educator ran out of the classroom because she felt that she was being bullied by the students. Initially, I thought she was a cover teacher. That was my assumption. Because after all, if you're teaching in a school for a number of years, and you may not have taught that group of students, but you have some form of, I don't want to use the word control, but you are aware, the caliber of students that is in the school. And the fact that she was saying to me that she felt bullied by the students, that made me feel quite sad because she was very, very emotional. She was crying out saying to her, well, you cannot continue like that. You need to make a decision whether or not you remain in teaching or you leave teaching, because teaching is tough. It's fantastic because you are imparting new knowledge onto the future generation, but at the same time, it's tiring and it's stressful. Because when I actually saw that my colleague ran out of the classroom and she was emotional because she felt that the students were bullying her, etc. And the class was really noisy. And there was some other student in that class I taught. And I had to go in, and I'm saying to myself, oh, good. Because I was teaching at year 12 and 13 students. So in terms of me actually going in and putting some form of discipline, I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And for me, as I said to students, I don't do shouting, but I had to shout at them because it was a situation where they were not listening. They all had to say so much to me. Miss, and miss, the teacher isn't listening, and it was all of that. I said, no, I don't want to hear any of that. I'm in here to quiet you guys down and sit down. Please, let's just use our inside voice and quietly sit down and just get on with your work, because that's what you're here for, to do your work. So when we think in terms of that, it's tough. And the educators out there who are listening to this, you're doing a fantastic job. It's a tough job. You're doing a great job, and you need to remember that the impact you are having on your students, although you may not think like that, because you are tired and the students are not listening and they're disruptive, but trust me, they value your contribution. Because even when you start putting the names on the board, in terms of discipline, and you put the names on the board for those that are doing well, etc., students want to do well. And they're looking for your validation as an educator. They're looking for you to tell them that they've done a good job. And it is important that we praise them every step of the way. And we celebrate the student. The more we celebrate our student, the more we get out of them. And there are times when they give an answer, you say, yes, let's celebrate you. So today my win was engagement with the 7 students, because they were so engaged after the first 10 minutes of challenges, when they realized that I am not a pushover. Don't even bother to try to go this Go beyond what you know you're meant to be doing. Push the boundaries, because students would always push the boundaries when they see you're a new teacher in the classroom. But I wasn't, hell no, I'm not having that, because we got things to do. And after we've done that, after the 10 minutes of, they thinking they could push the boundaries, etc., we had a fantastic lesson. Because when I asked them to summarize on what they've taken from the lesson, it was a lot of positive. Yes, there were a few negatives. Well, I wouldn't say negative. There was a few. Oh, me, she was really strict. Okay, I hear that. Okay, that's fine. But did you learn anything from the lesson? Is there anything you're taking away from the lesson? There were a lot that were taken away. They all took something away from the lesson. Yes, I know I was strict and I felt I had to, because the fact that I was covering the lesson, they saw me as a cover teacher. And I just feel as teachers, we need to make sure we take control, or else we won't have the outcome. And yes, I know some students, would not be able to sit still and focus. That's fine. Because after 20 minutes, I said to them, stop, pause, stand up. Let's take a brain break. And it's like, Miss, what's that? Give your brain a break for 3 minutes. Get up and stretch and swing your body around to get the circulation going, to get the blood going all over your body. And then we sit down. And it's like, initially they all started to laugh. Miss, what you mean a brain break? Yes, your brain need a break. So after we got over that initial, laugh, etc., etc., it was a fantastic lesson. And as I said, I did thank them for allowing me to share the experience with them, because I did gain a lot from them, and they actually did gain a lot from me. And one of the students said, Miss, am I on detention because you put my name on the board? No. That was a potential detention. Name on the board is a first warning, 2, and then 3. 2 ticks, and then it's a detention. I haven't put any ticks yet. I just put the name on the board. So that's the warning. So it was, it was interesting. It was a really fantastic session. For me, my win was, they enjoyed the lesson, and a lot of them were able to summarize. And their reading ability was brilliant, in terms of the way they were confident enough to read, which was nice. Whether or not because I told them they had to read, they read, I don't know. None of them actually said, no, Miss, I didn't want to read. Because I did say to them, if you don't feel comfortable, it's okay, I'm okay with that too. But they wanted to demonstrate to me, and they did that wonderfully well. So it was a fantastic session. My last lesson with DS7 was brilliant. I've gained a lot from them, in terms of, one of the things is, as educators, as I say, you need to make sure that you set boundaries, even though it's not your class, but you set boundaries in terms of the school rules, and you make sure you take control of the class, or else the student's going to take control of you. Is it like you take control of your student and the class, or they take control of you? Because last week, a situation where I saw the student were taking control, the student were running the class, of that teacher. And I wasn't having that. Although I was not the teacher in the class, when I went in, I wasn't having that. I was controlling that. You have work to do. So educators, one of the things you need to always remember, you are in control of the class. You are running the class. You don't want the students to run the class for you when you haven't planned that. Anyway, take care, stay blessed. And remember, you guys are doing a fantastic job. Not everybody could be a teacher, or an excellent teacher, or a very good teacher. Every day we reflect, and every day we reflect, and every day we improve our tools and our skills as educators. It's very, very important that we do that, because only then would you be an excellent teacher, serving the students, because you are making an impact on those vulnerable students' lives. Stay care, stay blessed, have a fantastic evening. Remember, self-care is very, very important. No one else could love you as much as you love you. Bye-bye.